Hello and welcome to your astrological forecast for March 2023. What to expect, what planets are working with us, what planets are making life more difficult, and what aspects are going to fire things into a completely different direction, positive or negative. Keep watching. And if you do like the video, press the like button. But also, please become a subscriber. It really does help to spread the word of astrology. Okay, March 2023. Lots going on this month. It's a huge month after February, which has been relatively quiet. I say relatively, but you never know really. But it has been compared to what's going on March. The significance of March is that there's lots of astrological movement. Planets moving into new signs of zodiac, big changes as well. We're talking like outer planets or like Pluto, like Saturn, that are moving into different zodiac signs, and this always brings in a very big significant shift. So there's a lot actually going on here, and most of all the planets are moving forward, which is good. There's no retrogrades, which is always a good sort of blessing. But we do have the shifts of one zodiac sign going into another, and that's pretty huge. So let's look at the month ahead to see what's going on. Okay, so the first thing that's going on is on March the 2nd, Mercury goes into Pisces. Mercury's not comfortable in Pisces. It finds it quite difficult to operate. Mercury is an energy that is swift, logical, slightly a trickster energy, and Pisces kind of waters that energy of Mercury down a little bit and confuses it. So just be kind of aware in communication during the month of March. There could be misunderstandings between people or organizations or countries, dare I say it, that make things seem a little bit more difficult or hard to grab hold of. So the communication aspect is sort of given a little bit of smoke and mirrors kind of aspect to it. It makes things difficult. However, it can be highly creative and great for actual spiritual work. But you just got to know how you're communicating and who you're communicating with and how does that kind of function. So just to be very much aware of that. Now, the first date that I'm going to talk about is the 7th of March, because that is such a huge date from an astrological point of view. At 12:40 GMT time, we had the full moon at 16 degrees in Virgo. So obviously the sun is in Pisces and the moon is in Virgo, so they're in opposites of polarity, and those two signs are very much about self-sacrifice, doing things for the good of other people rather than the individual or the collective, doing something for the good of the greater collective. It also brings in situations with health matters from a collective point of view or individual, and also it tends to work on the idea that there's always a kind of escapism with that particular moon. Now, it also trines Uranus in Taurus, two Earth signs, working together, and that's quite a nice kind of energy to it. Although the moon and Uranus are incompatible, really, but it means that things can move quite quickly during that particular time. And indeed they do, because at 13:35 GMT time, for the first time in 29 years and 5 months, Saturn moves into Pisces. And the significance of this is huge because Pisces is at the end of the zodiac cycle, and Saturn is the great disciplinarian of the sky, entering into this world of Pisces, which is kind of like, I describe Pisces as like that moment between the nocturnal and day, the sunrise, that pre moment before that. It's like two worlds colliding, one world ending, another world coming into view. So stepping into worlds is the Piscean kind of energy. And Saturn wants to put structure on that. And Saturn wants to limit that willingness to escape. And what I think is really interesting, and I'm actually positive about this combination, because in traditional astrology, Saturn is in its joy in the 12th house, which is the house of in the natural zodiac of Pisces. So these two can operate rather well. But with anything politically, economically, culturally that has been kind of allowed to sort of roam with no boundaries and no discipline is suddenly going to get a bit of a shock when Saturn goes into Pisces. And what I think is going to be really kind of interesting is things like what's going to happen with certain policies to do with, let's say, asylum seekers or refugees, people crossing the sea, Pisces, the Neptune connotations, from one country to another, the Jupiter connotations with Pisces. So I think that's going to be the first thing that's going to take place. And also with this, and bearing in mind that Saturn's going to be in Pisces for 2.5 years, also about the social media aspects. So what's going to happen with social media? Social media has kind of been a little bit Wild West. So again, structures, whether you think it's good or bad doesn't really matter, but this is the structures coming in place with anything that seems like it doesn't have boundaries or it's not been given structure, suddenly will be given structure with Saturn going through Pisces. So it's a really kind of a big kind of event sort of happening there, and that's a major, and that sort of sets the tone for the early part of March. Here, 16th of March, Venus enters Taurus. That's late in the evening GMT time, about sort of 10:30 in the evening. Venus, of course, is in the rulership of Taurus, so that's a very nice combination. It works really well. It brings a sort of centering energy. It just grounds us all from an energetic level. And then Mercury on the 19th will enter into Pisces. Mercury enter into Aries, and it's been going through Pisces. So Mercury in Aries is a lot more direct, a lot more punchy. It's less kind of confusing. So it's just to be kind of very aware of that. And then on the 20th of March, big day, because it's the spring equinox, the start of the astrological new year, when the sun enters into Aries at 21:24 GMT time. There's always a big significance about the spring equinox. It really brings in a kind of sense of, from my point of view, the year starting. And what's fascinating about this particular spring equinox is that the next day on the 21st, late afternoon, we have a new moon in Aries at 0 degrees. So it really is like a new start, really kind of the whole energy, a new start, a new sense of new beginnings, of new visions for the future, sort of coming into the collective. This is very, very important from an astrological point of view. And when the sun is in Pisces, we'll sort of come to an end of a cycle. Then the sun goes into Aries, and then it's the beginning of the new astrological cycle. And then straight after that, on the 23rd, Pluto goes into Aquarius. Only for a couple of months to about June 11th, and then it will go back into Capricorn. But still, we've had Pluto in Capricorn since 2008. So Pluto going into Aquarius is a big thing. So we get a little taster, all of us, of how that is going to manifest with us individually, with us collectively. And there's already been lots written about and spoken about Pluto and Aquarius. But, when I look at planets, I look at Aquarius, but I look at the polarity, which is Leo as well. And in a natural zodiac, Leo is all about the self-expression of the individual, right? I want to create this, whatever that may be. And the Aquarius, the 11th house principle of Aquarius is working within the collective. I'm going to be part of a group to create something. So whenever you've got a planet going into the example with this Aquarius, you're going to get a knock-on effect of Leo. So it's, as a collective, as a group, what we choose, whether we go down the I want to do it for myself or I want to do it for the collective. It's polarity points that we're working with. So that's going to be really fascinating. What we've had since 2008, Pluto going through Capricorn, is the questioning of authority figures or corporations or people in charge. So example, politics or politicians being questioned, and things coming up to the surface, what we'd say from the underworld, being shown a light of these organizations that look after us or meant to look after us have been challenged, and things have come up to the surface that a lot of us have gone, oh, we don't really kind of like that. Thank you very much. So suddenly that's going to shift into how we operate as a collective, how we operate as a group, which I would imagine new politics coming in, and this is over a 20-year period, bearing in mind. New ways of politics, economics coming in. And so there is kind of a shift. So what we get is a little bit of a kind of glimmer before next year, Pluto finally will travel into Aquarius for the 20-year period. So, but that week of March the 20th, 21st, 23rd, huge. And then on the 25th of March, Mars goes into Cancer. Again, another huge shift, because Mars has been in Gemini since August of 2022. So suddenly Mars is shifting into Cancer. It's not comfortable in Cancer. It's in its fall. So again, Mars is not operating in good condition. It's being challenged an awful lot. And I think this is one of the things is that, Mars is about assertiveness, and Cancer is very emotional. So the two find it very, very difficult to sort of just get together and operate. So Mars is still in a sort of tricky position. But again, it's movement. It's things changing signs. So yeah, this is the significance of this particular month is huge. And I think for all of us, it's going to feel like we plan, then things change. We plan again, and then things change again. Or motivations change, or what we want changes, or external things just happen to change our course. It's going to feel like that. It's going to feel a little turbulent. It's going to feel a little bit, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. Oh, that's just happened. Right, how do I deal with that? That's the energy that we're working with. And so there's a lot that's going to happen over a short space of time. Big shifts, big kind of energy shifts going on, particularly if you've got the signs Pisces, Aquarius, Virgo. Those three signs are particularly under the radar in March, because of the shifts and changes. Also, I'd add in Cancer, because of at the end, of course, Mars going into Cancer. So there is this kind of sense of end of a cycle, beginning of a cycle. But we're all going, where does that take us? Where does that going to go? So there's a lot going on, but it's change, and it's positive if we respond to it in a positive way, if we embrace it. If we try to hang on to what we kind of know, then we're going to find things a bit tricky. So we got to be kind of very aware of that. And April's going to be, okay, how do we feel about all this? That's when we sort of bed it in. March is like, oh, I just feel differently. Something's happening. Things are changing. Things are looking different. So a very, very exciting month, ahead. Brilliant new moon, 0 degrees in Aries. So there's a lot to be looking forward to, but there's also a lot to question as well, and a lot to let go of. Listen, guys, thanks very much for watching. Like I said, please like the video and become a subscriber for more videos in the future. Thank you very much.